Good morning. I'm Donna Shea with the T2 Center at the University of Connecticut, and we are so delighted to have Mark Doctor with us today from the Federal Highway Administration to talk about the safe system approach and traffic safety culture. By way of introduction, Mark is a senior safety and geometric design engineer and team leader with the Federal Highway Administration Resource Center. Mark provides technical services and training on deploying innovative and flexible design and safety practices on a national level. He is part of a working group with FHWA trying to raise national awareness of the safe system approach and advance the implementation of applying safe system principles more broadly within the United States. Mark, it's so great to have you with us today.
Oh, thank you, Donna. It's great to be here.
So I cannot wait to get this conversation started. So Mark, every town or city in Connecticut has a designated local traffic authority, what we call them the LTA. The LTAs are the first point of contact for any traffic-related concern on their public roads. This is a lot of responsibility. How would you describe traffic safety culture? And how can this concept help our LTAs in the important work of keeping their communities safe?
Yeah, thanks, Donna. So no doubt local and rural road safety in particular are great concerns, not just in Connecticut, but really across the entire country. Nationally, the fatality rate on rural roads is more than double that in urban areas, and addressing the safety concerns on local and rural roads is particularly challenging because crashes typically are seemingly occurring at random locations. And they're not necessarily clustered at just a few locations. And many agencies are strapped for resources, and they have many needs on the roads that they own and operate. So I can certainly appreciate the challenging jobs that Connecticut LTAs have. Thank you for bringing up the concept of traffic safety culture. That's something I don't think gets talked about enough. Oftentimes, safety culture is thought of in terms of driver attitudes and behaviors on things such as speeding or distracted driving or impaired driving or not wearing a seatbelt. And those behavioral factors are important and they're indicators of a community's safety culture, but there's really more to it than just that. FHWA describes safety culture as the shared values, the actions and behaviors that demonstrate a commitment to safety over other competing goals and demands. So safety culture can influence a community's position on prioritizing things such as safer laws or stiffer penalties for violations. So as LTAs work to implement safety advancements in their communities, I think it's critical to first understand what the current safety culture is within that community. Sometimes it's the safety culture that can hold back an agency's ability to implement some real change.
Thanks, Mark. I think that's such an important starting point for us in this conversation. The other thing that we've been hearing a lot about is something called the safe systems approach and how it can make places safer. Can you help us understand the principles behind this approach?
Yeah, Donna. So the safe system approach really is principles based. When people talk about, well, how do I implement a safe system approach? It's really implemented by making decisions that are consistent with the 6 principles behind a safe system approach. So let me run through those 6 foundational principles. And it really starts with the first principle that death and serious injuries on our roads are unacceptable. It's almost like a mantra or a call to action. And although no crashes are desirable, the safe system approach really emphasizes or focuses on the serious crashes, those that can lead to a death or a serious injury. And so when we talk about our vision of zero, it's not 0 crashes, it's 0 deaths and serious injuries. It's a subtle difference, but a very important difference. And that leads into the second foundational principle of a safe system approach, and that is that humans make mistakes. So whether we are drivers or pedestrians or bicyclists, we as human beings and operators of the transportation system will inevitably, at some point in time, make mistakes. Even the best drivers or the most attentive of users will at some point make a mistake. And on the road system, those mistakes can lead to crashes. So the safe system approach is not set out to eliminate crashes. It acknowledges that crashes are going to occur. The focus then becomes on managing the consequences of those crashes to keep them survivable. And that ties into the third principle, and that is that humans are vulnerable. So as human beings, we have a certain threshold. It may be a limited threshold, but there's a certain threshold to incur or absorb the kinetic energy in a collision before harm occurs. And that's really a key point of how to implement a safe system approach. It's about managing the system through our design, through our operational decisions, so that when crashes occur, we manage the kinetic energy so that the outcome is survivable. The fourth principle is that responsibility is shared. So oftentimes in infrastructure, we focus a lot on the improvements that we can make on the road system, but we are one piece, one element of a safe system approach. There are 5 elements to the safe system. Safe roads and safe speeds are 2 of the 5, but the other elements are all critical in working together. And it's important to remember that the safe system approach is not just an infrastructure initiative, but there is a huge part that we in infrastructure play. The fifth principle is that safety is proactive. So transportation agencies should use proactive, data-driven tools to identify and mitigate risks in the system. And then the final foundational principle is that redundancy is crucial. So I mentioned that there are 5 elements to a safe system, and strengthening each of those elements is really important. If we think about each element as being a slice of Swiss cheese. I love to use the Swiss cheese model analogy for this. And the holes in the cheese represent weaknesses. There will always be weaknesses in each element. And that's the good news, is that we don't have to have a perfect element that they work together in redundancy to reduce the likelihood of a fatal or severe injury outcome. So we work to strengthen each of the 5 elements. And for us, we tend to focus on the safe roads element. And we're not going to eliminate the weaknesses. There will always be holes in that slice of Swiss cheese. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a slice of Swiss cheese. So don't think of it as closing all of the holes. Think of it as shrinking the size of the holes. And that means continuously making design and operational choices on our roads that reduce the risk of a fatality or serious injury. We may never get that risk down to 0, but that's okay, because the other elements of the system can help fill in to mitigate that likelihood of a fatality or serious injury. So that's kind of an overview of how the principles and the elements of a safe system approach really come together as that way of helping us achieve that vision of 0 deaths and serious injuries on the roads.
Mark, it's such a wonderful framework. And I so appreciate that when I look at this, I see the role of everyone involved in making this work. I guess what I was thinking of when you were describing it is this different from the way that the road safety community has been working toward eliminating fatalities and serious injuries for all road users over this many years we've been at this good work?
Yeah, Donna. So there are a lot of things that agencies are currently doing or have been doing that really support a safe system approach. Perhaps what's different is the way we think about the safety problem. And when we think about the safety problem differently, it opens up opportunities to explore different solutions. Also, I would say what could be different is the way we prioritize certain decisions that are made on our road network. So for example, prioritizing fatalities and serious injuries versus just crashes. That there actually may be some things that a transportation agency does that may increase the number of minor crashes or property damage only crashes. but they may have a significant reduction in reducing fatalities and serious injuries. So thinking about the trade-offs differently, and certainly prioritizing the more serious crashes. Kinetic energy and of course speed is a big factor in that. And so to manage the system and managing the kinetic energy of a crash oftentimes involves applying good speed management principles. And so prioritizing appropriate speeds, especially for our vulnerable road users like pedestrians and bicyclists, and implementing and enforcing appropriate speeds in those areas where we have a mix of vulnerable road users and motorized vehicles. So we recognize that mistakes are going to happen on the roads. Those mistakes can lead to crashes. The focus then becomes on keeping them survivable. So Donna, I think what's different mostly about a safe system approach is our perspective of the problem and our prioritization of the solutions to that problem.
That makes such good sense. I think what I wonder is we're developing our new LTA 101 training for all LTAs in Connecticut, is how we can help them take the next steps to implement the safe system approach. Do you have tips for them on that?
Yeah, Donna. So, first, again, I think there are many things that your cities and towns are already doing that work toward creating a safe system. So implementing known and proven safety countermeasures like roundabouts and road diets, or in rural areas, making the roadsides more forgiving. All of those are examples of things that many agencies are probably already doing. So sometimes implementing a safe system approach can be doubling down on what we know works, so doing more of what we know is effective at reducing deaths or serious injuries. But to take implementation to the next level, I think requires a understanding or identifying what your agency is currently not doing or could be doing more of. And so implementing is really about the decisions that an agency makes, and those decisions on how they design and operate the road system, especially decisions that show a emphasis or a prioritization for vulnerable road user safety.
Thank you, Mark. We really look forward to working with our cities and towns through all of our educational efforts to help them in this area. And, we started our conversation talking about traffic safety culture. How do you think safety culture influences an agency's ability to implement the safe system approach?
Yeah, Donna. So safety culture is, and I'm going to define that as a community's safety culture. It really establishes, I would say, the ceiling for which things can be practically implemented. As an example, speed safety cameras might be a good example. So in some areas, implementing speed safety cameras in school zones or in work zones seems to have a sense of appeal or acceptance. And that can perhaps lead to more broader implementation. So sometimes it's important to assess where your community's current safety culture is. And I think we can strengthen that culture as well. I think that's a key part of a safe system approach, is working with the community, prioritizing safety, and making it so that the citizens, our community, demands from us as transportation practitioners the safest possible roadway decisions possible. I think that's a great indicator of a safety culture, and how a safety culture, a strong safety culture, makes it easier for us in the transportation field to help implement these things, whether it's more roundabouts, more road diets, access management. All of these are examples of things that we know are safer choices. But sometimes when we're not adequately engaged with the community and perhaps explaining why these changes are so much safer, that it helps that shift toward a stronger safety culture in the community. And getting to that point where the community then demands those things from us as transportation professionals. I think that's the real secret to success. So thanks, Donna. It's a great challenge, but also very important for us to work on.
I do think that having your community come together to help in the prioritization gives them an opportunity to buy into continuing the good work. So, and we, the T2 Center, really look forward to staying connected to our local agencies and supporting them along this important journey. Oh, Mark, thank you so much for being here. Thanks to all who are viewing this video. Working together, we can all make a difference in keeping our community safe. And we're really looking forward to, through our new opportunity to educate all of our LTAs and help them build these critical skills that we can play a role in trying to support the reduction of fatalities in serious injuries. I will say that if you have not seen our companion video that talks about all the services we have available from the Safety Circuit Rider program with our SCR Melissa Evans and our new safety associate Jason Hughes, please don't miss it. You'll be very happy you did. There's lots of ways we can help you in this. Stay safe all, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks again, Mark. It was great to have you.
Thank you, Donna. Pleasure.